Welcome to the Transport Workers Union of America, AFL-CIO, and Local 579. You are joining a movement that has made history. Check out some of the ways your union fights. In its long history, the TWU has always fought for equality in the workplace. In 1934, the TWU was founded by Michael J. Quill, who organized transit workers in New York City. After just 9 short months, contracts were negotiated covering 38,000 workers. Here are some of the historical highlights of the TWU. In the 1940s, the TWU expanded nationally to include transit workers in 7 states. It also established the Air Transport Division with newly organized Pan Am and American Airlines. In 1951, TWU demands and wins 40-hour work weeks for bus, subway, and elevated line workers in New York City. It was almost 40,000 people. In 1961, the TWU convention, which was held every 4 years, featured Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as the keynote speaker. Michael J. Quill realized early on what a great man King would be. In 1962, the TWU fights for and secures the end of segregated bus lines in Houston and the segregated pay scales that came with them, ensuring equal pay for equal work. In 1965, TWU members marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, further solidifying TWU's stance on racial equality. In 1966, TWU launches a transit strike on January 1st that cripples New York City. 12 long days later, the strike ends. TWU strengthened the rights of public sector workers, which included dramatically improved hours, conditions, and pay, and leveled the playing field for all public employees. In 1980, the TWU wins uniform changes at Southwest Airlines so female flight attendants are no longer required to wear suggestive clothing that brought on sexual harassment during flights. This win created a safer working environment for all. In 2014, TWU organizes bike share workers in New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and Boston. Organizing new industries into TWU further positions the union for strength. This work group joined the transit division. In the last 20-plus years, the TWU has had many organizing wins, including Allegiant Airways flight attendants, firefighters at Lockheed Martin, Kalitta Air Cargo dispatchers, ExpressJet dispatchers, FSI flight attendants, Spirit customer service agents, JetBlue IFCs, and many, many more. And now for a brief history of our TWU Local 579 made up of JetBlue IFCs. The history of TWU Local 579 goes back well over a decade. In May of 2010, IFCs who are interested in unionizing form an organizing committee and begin the first authorization card drive. Authorization cards are signed by employees and collected. These cards allow the federal government and the National Mediation Board, the NMB, to grant an election for workers to decide if they want to unionize. In January of 2016, the authorization card drive encountered expiration dates and the campaign was suspended. A new campaign strategy, driven by technology and data, begins to be formulated by IFC organizers. In December of 2016, organizers developed an app, and IFC activists set out to survey their colleagues. The new campaign launched, using the app to gauge interest before cards were released to be signed. The new campaign used benchmarks and real-time quantifiable metrics for success. 80% IFC interest in unionization needed to be achieved before cards could be available again to sign. In April of 2017, the $25 email scandal breaks out. In an attempt to discipline IFCs, the company got caught soliciting passengers via email for instances where IFCs were on electronic devices during flight. This feedback was in exchange for a $25 travel voucher. The IFCs were outraged as company-issued iPads were used to perform duties and passengers may not understand the difference. In August 2017, the benchmark of 80% IFC interest in unionization is reached. Cards are released for IFC signatures and collection. In December 2017, thousands of cards were signed and collected in record time. The IFC organizing team went to D.C. to officially file them with the National Mediation Board and petition for a union election. In March of 2018, the National Mediation Board authorizes an election for IFCs to vote to unionize with TWU. April 2018, 1 year after the $25 email scandal, JetBlue IFCs vote 2-1 to unionize with TWU. In August of 2018, the first IFC negotiating team is elected and each of the 5 bases are represented. The IFCs were surveyed on their priorities and the team promptly got to work. October of 2020, the negotiations conclude and our first tentative agreement is announced. Town halls and educational campaigns begin. Voting is opened. In November of 2020, the tentative agreement is voted down by the IFCs and the negotiating team heads back to the table. IFCs were surveyed again and the issues were kept in the forefront during negotiations. In November of 2021, the second tentative agreement, known as TA2, is announced. TA2 is presented to the IFCs and education begins. The vote to ratify opens. On December 13th, 2021, TA2 passes and goes from being a tentative agreement to being ratified as our first collective bargaining agreement, otherwise known as a CBA. On November 1st of 2022, TWU Local 579 is officially chartered. Our first officers and board, democratically elected by the in-flight crew members, are sworn into their roles as local leadership. Let's take a look at the structure of our union. The TWU is made up of over 155,000 members split into 3 divisions: the Rail Division, the Transit Division, and the Air Division. Each division has many locals underneath it, and JetBlue flight attendants in Local 579 fall under the Air Division. Inside of Local 579 are structures as follows. We have our Local 579 officers. This is the President, Vice President, Treasurer, and Recording Secretary. Then we have our Local 579 board members. Underneath that, we have our committees and our shop stewards. And then most importantly, we have you. You are the most important part of your union. You are the eyes and ears out on the line. The union can't help until they know about an issue. There are many benefits of being a union member. Ratifying our CBA eliminated at-will employment after the probationary period. At-will means that the company can fire you for any reason without having to prove just cause. In addition to the many contractual protections in our CBA, there are other benefits to being a union member, including but not limited to voting power, the ability to shape the next contract, getting involved with international and local committees, ability to run for positions, and access to union member-only programs like Union Plus. Shop stewards are trained union representatives. If you receive a notice from JetBlue management for a meeting, please always request a shop steward to accompany you as soon as possible. You can do this at 579twu.org/union-rep-request. Local 579 has many committees in service to our in-flight crew members. We have communications, education, hotels, fatigue, COPE, grievance, health, safety, and security, pro standards, scheduling, elections, EAP, and FDAP. If you have any questions about these committees, feel free to speak with the presenter after this presentation. Here's some information about your dues. Your monthly dues are $35. Out of that, 70% stays with our local and 30% goes to the international. Your dues pay for various things like negotiation costs, grievance processing, arbitration, board, steward, and committee compensation, office rent and supplies, etc. On the next page, there will be a QR code for you to scan. This will connect you to 2 forms, the membership application and dues checkoff authorization. Checkoff authorization allows your dues to be deducted directly from your paycheck, which is a seamless transaction that supports your union fighting for your rights on the job. Once you graduate, you'll likely have a lot of questions. Here's how to get help. First, consult your CBA. You can find your CBA in My Comply on your company-issued iPad or download it at 579twu.org. We recommend downloading the CBA into iBooks or Adobe on your personal device so the document is searchable using keywords like hotel or deadhead. A great use of your airport standby time is to read the reserve section, Article 12 in the CBA, and ask questions if you don't understand something. The second way to get help would be to reach out via the website form at 579twu.org. This can connect you to the specific committee that supports your issue. This will help us to ensure you get the help you need. Asking questions on social media can sometimes get you the wrong response. Please come directly to your union with questions. If you think the CBA has been violated, please fill out a contract violations form and upload your evidence at 579twu.org/contract violations as soon as possible so the grievance committee can investigate. Here are some key takeaways. TWU gets its strength from its members like you. You are now part of the long history of the labor movement in America, and that means something. We are so glad that you're here. Your union, your power. Engaged and informed IFCs create leverage for fair and equitable treatment from the company. We may not always agree with each other, but we stand shoulder to shoulder. We are a force when we are united. Resources are available. Our union is all of us. If you need help, please contact us as soon as possible so we can connect you to the best group to handle your situation. You are the union's eyes and ears. To quote the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., "The labor movement was the principal force that transformed misery and despair into hope and progress." On behalf of all of us here at TWU and Local 579, congratulations and welcome to In Flight. Thank you for your attention, and we'll see you on the line.